Karen, and I must apologise for you seeing me constantly in this top. You're going to see me a lot in this top, which is from River Island, and it's a kind of flannelette type material that is super cosy. I love the colour, I think it's really bright, and I've got another one in a kind of orange colour which is super dry, and it's a sort of sweatshirt. In fact, I'm going to check today to see if they've got any other colours in it. They're so cosy, they're so comfy, and I love the colours, and I feel like the colour suits me, so apologies for seeing me so much in these. Anyway, I'm here to talk about this. I've actually got them in both of the colours, but you guys know that, excuse me, I have obviously got a chest cold. You guys know that when I find something amazing to me, which isn't very often because I am a fussy bugger, but when I find something I really think is great, I come and do a single product review video. So I either do single product reviews when it's something that I think is amazing, or if it's something new to let you know about it, and if I think it's useful to you. This is a bit of both. It is a new product. I had never seen it advertised. I just happened to see it in Boots. So I picked up the light one and then went to Superdrug and picked up the dark one. I'm not sure why I did it that way. It's just I couldn't decide between them both because the light looks very, very light and the dark looks very, very dark. And I would think that I'm more medium, but this one is light medium and this one is medium dark. Do you ever have that problem with clothes? I get that with clothes sometimes. There'll be a 10/12 or a 14/16, and I think, well, I'm a 12/14, so which one do I go for, you know, especially if it's online. Anyway, I got them both and I've tried them both and I absolutely love these and would totally recommend them for you. So I haven't got my spreadsheet, but I have got my laptop here to tell you the prices, and actually I'm going to have a look at and see what the Superdrug price is because I can't remember, just in case it's cheaper for you. So in Boots it was £6.99, and they currently have 3 for 2 on Maybelline. So I'll make sure I get this up tomorrow. I'm doing this review on Saturday. I'll try and get this up for Sunday, and then hopefully this will be on until Tuesday, I would think, because they normally change their offers on a Tuesday. I don't know how long they run for though. It might run for longer than that. It actually wasn't a 3 for 2 when I went in, which was, what day is it today? Saturday. I went in on Wednesday, and I don't think it was a 3 for 2. Maybe it was and I just didn't notice. Anyway, £6.99 in Boots, and in Superdrug it's also 3 for 2 on Maybelline, and they are also £6.99, so that's good. So you can get them from either Superdrug or Boots. So there aren't a lot of claims for this, but you know, because it's a powder, but it's not like claiming to be long lasting or anything like that. But I'll read you what it says. It says our first 2-in-1 contouring powder, a highlighter and contour blush in 2 expertly coordinated shades for a sculpted look. 2-in-1 contouring, oh, that just says the same thing again. It says define with the brush, highlight with your finger, which is, yeah, that's definitely possible. Now I haven't used the brush that comes in it. This is a brush I've seen in Maybelline products before. It looks like this. And it's quite a firm brush, but it's not a scratchy type brush. And I think this would be good if you're using this as an exact contour, because it really would be good to get that, you know, very specific place with this. So I think it would be good as a brush, but I didn't use it because I didn't actually use them specifically as a contouring powder. I generally don't contour. I just use my blush brush, say like this, and I just put the bronzer in the area of the contour, and then I put a little bit on my forehead and maybe down my neck. So I don't generally contour as such, but I like contour products because then they're not orangey a lot of the time, and you can still get a little bit of contour by putting it in the bronzy area, if that makes sense. Okay, so this is them side by side. So this one is the light medium, this one is the medium dark. And it's interesting seeing them in the viewfinder actually like that, because I do think the 2 highlight colours are the same. There's barely any difference between them. With the light one and dark one, the reason I couldn't decide is when I looked in the shop, I just kept staring at them and thinking, this light one, you know, is it going to be too light? They had a tester for this one, but they didn't have a tester out for this one. And I thought, is that going to be too light? You know, if it's not well pigmented, then it might be difficult to use. And also it looked a tad orange, and I thought, is it going to be orange? You know, it looked to me more like this was a bronzer and this was the contour powder. But like I said, they had a tester out of this one, and I think maybe somebody had taken the tester of this one. It looked like there should have been one there, or maybe because it's new. Often when they're new, it takes a while to get the testers out. So I shall give you swatches of them. I haven't got it on today, actually. I completely forgot. And the reason I forgot is because I had a new product to use, and it wasn't until after I put it on. It was the Laura Geller baked bronzer that I ordered from QVC. So that's the two bronzers there as a swatch. So that's the light medium and that's the medium dark. So I'll do a swatch for you there on my hand. Actually, let me put a little bit more on. That should be enough for you to see the difference in colour. So I think I was a little bit right in that the lighter one does have more of a bronzer to it as opposed to a contour powder, if you see what I mean. I don't think it couldn't be used as a bronzer. It's not so, as a contour powder, sorry. It's not so orangey that it couldn't be used for that, but it is, in my mind, that's more of a bronzer and that's more of a contour powder, because this one is more of a cool colour, but this one is also definitely darker, but it's not just light and dark. To me, that one's more orange toned, that one's cooler toned. So you could maybe, I think this is the way I'd use them actually. I'd use the darker one if I was contouring. Occasionally I do a little bit of contour, and the brush that I would use, do I even have it here, would be the Zoeva, I think it's a 110 face shape brush, or this one here, the Sigma small contour brush. So I have used them 3 times. I used the dark one once, excuse me, and I used the light one twice. So I used the light one on day 1, loved it and thought this is fantastic. Used the dark one on day 2, and although I loved it when it was on, later on in the day you could kind of see the stripe. I think just because it was too dark for me. So it hadn't gone patchy or anything, it just sort of, the way that, you know, when your foundation sort of fades and sort of pulls in area, it looked more like a stripe and it wasn't as blended as it started off being. But like I said, I think that's just because that colour is too dark for me, or maybe I put too much on, you know, I could have blended it out a bit more. But the light one, when I put it on the first day, I thought that was going to be too light. It's not too light for me, even with my self tanner on. So for reference, I am about an NC20 NC20 in MAC foundations. I'm normally like 1 down from the lightest colour, so I'm not very tanned at all, and maybe 2 down from the lightest colour when I've got my self tanner on. But this wasn't too light for me at all. So this one on the first day, and what was most amazing to me is it really lasted very, very well. You know, later on in the afternoon, I put it on first thing in the morning, and later on in the afternoon I could still see this. And I do have a problem with bronzers disappearing on my face or going patchy, and this one didn't. It still looked lovely. So I was really pleased with that. This one is well pigmented. I don't have to do much to get any colour, so the brush goes in it very well. The highlighter, I've used the highlighter on both occasions, and like I said, actually, let me show you a swatch of the highlighter, because I think that they both look exactly the same. I don't think there's any difference in those. That's them too. So that's number 1 and that's number 2. So light, medium, medium, dark. Let me put it underneath and see if there is any difference on the skin. No, I don't think there is. So that's them on the skin. Maybe actually 1 is a little bit more, shows a little bit more, doesn't it? Whereas that number 2 one doesn't show so much with the medium dark. But I really like the highlighter as well, which is very unusual, because when I looked at it, I thought I was buying it just for the bronzer. That was what appealed to me. And the highlighter looked too subtle, but actually on, it's subtle, but it's not non-existent. A lot of the time when people review a highlighter and say, oh, it's very subtle, I think, I can't see it, you know, and I want to see something. You know me, I'm a kinds of all or nothing girl. And if I can't actually see anything from a highlighter, it's pointless to me using it. So I wouldn't tend to use a matte highlighter. I want something that has got a little bit of sheen. And this is the perfect amount of sheen if you're looking for something to highlight, but you don't want it to, like me, I don't want it to attract my attention to my crow's feet. You know, I do just want a subtle colour, and this is beautiful. And also, this lasted pretty well as well, and it's also pretty well pigmented. Okay, so day 2, I used this, and as I said, this one's medium dark. It was just too dark for me, and so it became obvious on my face as the day went on. So this, for me, I'd have to use it a lot lighter, with a lighter hand, and only really as a contour, not as a bronzer. But if you've got darker skin, then this would be wonderful. This one isn't as pigmented as the light one somehow. Like if I put my fingers in them, I don't know whether you can tell there, I got a lot more from the light medium, whereas I have to work harder, and I did with the brush as well, I have to work harder at the medium dark colour to get any pigment from it. So something to bear in mind. It depends what your preference is. Some people like, you know, bronzers and blushes and things like that to be well pigmented and to be able to, you know, easily get colour with a soft brush. So if you're using a soft brush like this, it will be fine on the light to medium one, but on the medium to dark, you'd maybe have to sort of pinch it and, you know, do this. You'd maybe need a firmer brush for the medium dark one. And you'd need to blend it out if you got too much colour of the light one. Did that make sense? Yeah, you know, when they're very well pigmented, you can put too much on, but because it's light, it doesn't really matter, I don't think, because I was able to be as heavy-handed as I liked. So this is going to be my favourite going forward, I would say. Now, the only other thing to mention is packaging. So you've got, it's in a square. I don't like these square ones. I don't like them at all. I think that they look, I think these look cheap, but, you know, they are cheap. So I guess you can't complain from that aspect. But you guys know that I like sort of thin, sleek things, and I would have preferred if it had just been that bit there, you know, which is the bronzer. But you've got this massive space on the bottom, and then you've got a mirror. Obviously, I won't show you that because it'll blind you. And that holds the brush. So for people that don't have a brush, this would be really useful. And for people that want to keep it in their handbag and use the mirror, it will be really useful. But on this one, I don't know whether you can see, but this is coming out. It's actually sitting outside. In fact, I could probably just flip that out, and I'm worried that it is going to fall out. Let me show you. It's glued in actually, but it's obviously not glued in very well. Can you see there? It's sort of hanging out. But what I thought was maybe good about that is if you are somebody that likes having your bronzers and highlighters, etc., in a Z palette, because you could then put a magnet on the back of this and put this in your Z palette. So it would be handy for that aspect. And I don't, actually that was quite hard to prize out, but it's just, I don't like the fact that it's sitting out of that a bit. You know, to be honest, I might end up giving this one away, the darker one, because like I said, I barely contour. I have got a few contour powders, and the light one is the one that I love. So that's everything, I think. I recommend them, as you may be able to tell. If you are into contour, if you're about my colour and you're into contouring and bronzer, maybe get both of them, and then you can get an extra product free. And when you think about it, they're $6.99 each. So two of these are half the price of an Hourglass bronzer, and I have that Hourglass bronzer, but you could even mix the highlighter and bronzer together in these to get that sort of effect of the Hourglass bronzer, you know, so put the bronzer on, put the highlighter on top and sort of blend together, and you get that same sort of effect. Okay, I'll give you a quick rundown of makeup and everything else. I've told you where my top is from. These earrings are from Next. You can't really see them though, can you? But they're these really nice pull-through ones with a little love heart, and they were only $5, so they're from Next. The necklace is from Topshop. My makeup, I've got on the MAC waterproof foundation in NC20, and I've done a video on that, so I'll link that below for you. On my eyes, I've actually also done a tutorial for this, but not today, if you know what I mean. I did my makeup this morning and I thought I've already done a tutorial for this, and it is using, well, I actually used MAC colours this morning, and I can't remember whether my tutorial is using the Happy Place Quad by Bare Minerals or the MAC colours, but they're identical. The MAC colours are a dupe for the Happy Place Quad. So whichever tutorial I've done, I'll link it down below, and I'll list all the colours that I've used. It's one of my favourite looks actually. And then on my lips, I have used this Revlon Colour Burst Matte Balm in 230, oh goodness, Complex I think it's called. It's this one here. And then on top of that, I used the Model Company lip gloss in Striptease. It looks like that. I actually got this free in a magazine, so and I've loved it ever since. I don't know how much Model Company stuff is, you know, I don't know and where you would even get it from, but I love that. Yep, that's everything. Thank you so much for watching. I'm off to do a haul, several hauls actually, because I bought quite a few things. I've been off work all week as it was my birthday week, and I've been ill sort of towards the end of it, but I'm not feeling too bad considering how I sound, you know, so I hope I don't get worse, because that's what happened to my husband. He started off a bit like this and has just got worse and worse and worse, and I think now he's starting to get better, and yeah, hopefully I don't get any worse. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll speak to you again soon.